everybody. Welcome back to the Remedy Pharm Health Minute. This is Amina, your pharmacy manager and certified hormone specialist. Tonight, I have with me a very special guest. This is Dr. Sulman Aziz Mirza. He is a psychiatrist. He is triple board certified in adult psychiatry, child and adolescent psychiatry, and also addiction medicine. He works out of the East Coast in Northern Virginia and is here to talk to us a little bit about the coronavirus update in that area and how the stress is affecting all of us, children and adults, and what we can do about it and how he handles that over there. So I'm really excited to have him on tonight. Welcome, Dr. Mirza. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me. How's it going?
Oh, you're a little bit. I'm sorry. You know what? That messed
Can
up
you
a
hear me
little
or
bit.
no?
Yeah, I
Okay.
can hear you now. Go ahead.
Okay. No, I was just saying, thanks for having me on here. It's good to be here. And how's everything going out there in Cali?
It's good. It's good. We have a lockdown in effect, of course.
Hmm.
Only essential businesses are open. So a lot of
Yep.
people, the stress is jumping right now, nice and high. So
Yep.
it's a
Yep.
great time for me to be able to interview you. So I'm really happy that you're here.
Awesome. Yep.
So let's just dive right into it. All right. We talked
Yeah.
about a couple of things earlier, and I wanted to start off with, I guess, the safer at home order, and is that affecting the youth's mental health? And have you addressed any ways to kind of help to cope? And I know a lot of kids are home with parents too, so maybe we
Hmm.
can start with that.
Yeah. So in Virginia, we just recently, in the last week, Governor Northam just came down with the whole canceling school for the rest of the school year, which was a big shock for a lot of people. I think a lot of Virginians were kind of holding out hope that school was going to kind of get back into season and kind of finish out the year. But then everybody kind of had to put that on hold and kind of go back to being at home.
Yeah.
We saw a lot of the young kids got really affected by it. A lot of the high school seniors who were really kind of looking forward to the end of senior year, kind of getting APs and done, exams, and just kind of that senior year fun of,
Yeah.
seeing their friends and before they're going off to college or for graduation. And then also just graduation itself, that for a lot of these kids, that's kind of off the table. We're seeing a lot of college kids, a lot of young college kids also who you're so looking forward to, they were freshmen, they were so excited to kind of like be on their own a little bit, move out of that house. And then it's like, hooray, you're back in school and now you have to go back home. So
Yeah.
it's like you had that the taste of the freedom that they're getting. They're, really identifying themselves with who they wanted to be.
Hmm.
And then that's kind of put back on hold. And it's like, all right, now you have to kind of go back and live at home, and not just live at home, but like stay at home
Yeah.
and be with the parents. And then, those are like, your high schoolers, your collegers. And then we see a lot with like younger kids too. Because and especially young kids we have with like ADHD and other kind of concerns, or maybe kids who are like special needs, who
Mhm.
really need to have that structure of the day. When that structure of the day is kind of torn away from them or taken away from them, they really decompensate a lot. And parents really get to hold like, oh my goodness, this is what a day is like. Like,
Wow.
forget like trying to kind of teach these kids anything. Like that structure of kind of needing to, you know, be here and then going to this class and then going to have this period free and then lunch at this time.
Mhm.
I was talking to a kid earlier today. He's his 12th grader, or not 12th, sorry, 12 years old, on the autism spectrum,
Mhm.
and he's high functioning for the most part. But he showed me he copy pasted his daily schedule his parents had put into place for him, and it was like a 30 minute by minute kind of breakdown of like, all right, we're going to wake up at this time, we're going to do this homework at this time, and that's the only thing that was kind of really keeping him going.
Oh wow.
And then especially with ADHD, and kids who have like IEPs, individualized education programs, that they really struggle without that additional help or resources that aren't there anymore when they're
Mhm.
in that home setting.
That's really hard. So, in these cases, and I didn't even think about high schoolers. I mean, I have two young kids, so I was just really thinking about daycares and elementary
Yeah,
schools and stuff. So I'm glad you brought that up. How are
yeah.
some ways that I guess parents can support this besides, and you mentioned like the ADHD kids, but what about their teen kids and older than that, and trying to help them understand, the severity of the situation. There's a reason why everyone's safer at home right now, right? Uh,
Right.
how can you kind of break through those barriers, communication barriers? I'd say.
It's a little bit it's difficult in a way because the biggest thing is you want to kind of stress the importance of how serious this is and how important this whole like hey, we really need to flatten the curve and really need to limit exposure for everybody. And the best way, the only way that's been proven over and over again to do that is through just staying at home
Hmm.
and not going out with your friends, not going out with like your girlfriend, your boyfriend, and stuff like that, and just being like, even just like, it's really, we have like high schoolers who are like having relationships when they're like, oh my God, you're telling me to not spend time with my
Oh
girlfriend, my
yeah,
boyfriend.
and that's the
They're
time when
just
you
like,
want to hang out with your friends only. Yeah.
right, because it's essentially it's like they're like, "Oh, this is like vacation, this is like spring break," and a lot of the timing of this kind of was like, "Oh, we just kind of run it into spring break, and then we're gonna reassess what's happening," and that's when the whole like cancellation for the rest of the year came.
Right.
So they were already kind of just like, "Oh, it's vacation mode," and now it's kind of like, "No, no, no, it's hibernate at home and stay at home with mom and dad kind of mode," and that's really hard for again like a lot of people to deal with, a lot of kids, especially teenagers. But
Yeah.
for the parents, it is that stressing of like, hey, it's a serious thing. We just got the news earlier today that like us has surpassed China and Italy as the most cases in the world. 1,000 plus, that's something so far, and it's not slowing down, and it's that reality needs to kind of kick in to be like, people are dying, more and more people are dying every day. It's a serious thing, and we have to just kind of lock ourselves down.
Yeah. Okay. And I guess you were trying. Do you have any kind of themes that you're seeing with your patient population or anything besides what we talked
Yes,
about? Anything else you want to try to throw in?
yeah. So especially with teens, it's the biggest kind of theme that I am seeing is boredom.
Okay.
Um, you know, you and I kind of grew up in an era where we were able to kind of, make fun for ourselves. We're able to like go outside and play sports, play basketball, go down to the park and do X, Y, and Z.
Hmm.
And we've had this kind of generational shift. It's good thing, bad thing. For whatever reason, people can debate about that. It's a whole different conversation about this shift towards electronics and kind of technology and this kind of isolation, but kind of togetherness that occurs. It's again, it has its pros and its cons, right? There is that element of kind of having to say, all right, we're going to use something else to kind of get ourselves occupied.
Hmm.
Whether it's reading, whether it's drawing, whether it's watching stuff on Netflix, playing video games, there's a little bit more laissez-faire of kind of saying, okay, we'll let you play some games and let you watch some movies. It's okay just to kind
Yeah.
of pass the time. But what I'm seeing is a lot of people who are doing okay with it, doing okay with this kind of quarantine and kind of home life, is that they're able to kind of reconnect and find these old hobbies again.
Hmm.
We're seeing a lot more people kind of like we're walking again. We're taking family walks. We're having family discussion.
Yeah.
We're spending time together a little bit more, and we're kind of taking it back to the way things were back in the day. And they're kind of like, there's actually, they're like, this is not too bad, right?
Hmm.
They're the forced family time. The one thing we always kind of say is, we can always kind of have a predictor of how kids are going to do by the amount of time people spend together and do family dinners,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
that's kind of one of those things in psychiatry. We kind of, especially in child adolescent psychiatry, we look at it like, what do you do for family dinner? And, what is there a routine and a routine, family routine for that? With this kind of happening, that people are kind of like, all right, we have to stay together. We can't go out here and there. We can't go to
Yeah.
this restaurant. We can't go to this person's house. We can't just like order takeout all the time. We're seeing the family dinner kind of come back a bit and those other routines and habits coming back, which is good.
Mm. Oh,
So,
that's really awesome. I didn't even think of that
yeah,
either, but that's wonderful. Um, as I told you before, and I think we've touched on this a little bit, was
yeah.
with teen rebellion age and stuff like that. Besides
Mhm.
parents sitting down and saying, "Hey, this is really serious," is there another way, or like, because a lot of times, I mean, you're a teenager, you're not going to listen to your parents, right? Is there someone
Yeah.
else they may want to have at the backhand to tell their teen, or any other way,
Mhm.
any other maybe resources that they can kind of turn to help the teens really understand instead of ignoring?
I think the biggest thing is a unified message,
Okay.
and that kind of comes from not just your own set of parents or the teen's own set of parents, but their friends as parents as well,
Hmm.
right? So the parents network with each other's, with their friends as with their kids as friends as parents, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
they kind of all like they're able to kind of touch base with each other to be like, hey, we want to make sure we're all on the same page.
yeah. Hmm.
Consistency is huge with parenting, and not just between like mother father 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 mother mother whatever it's going to be, but also amongst groups of friends. If
Okay.
everyone is getting that same consistent pattern, the same consistent message,
Hmm.
it's a lot easier to kind of say like, hey, this is what we're going to do. This is what the rules are going to be, and this is what we're going to have happen. Because then they can't say, "Oh, Johnny's dad says this," or
Right.
Monica's mom says that. Because so if everyone's like, "Yeah, no one's letting me go out," then everyone's like, "Okay, then we're
Okay.
all
Time to
kind of
stay home.
we got to stay home a little bit." So
Absolutely. So when you were talking about a little bit like, family dinners and routine, it kind of got me thinking about the boredom and everything that maybe
mhm.
would it be helpful or is this anything that you ever, do about maybe making a list of accomplishments for the day or something like that? And then like they can kind of look back to see
Yeah,
new things that they done, new things that they learned and stuff like that. And maybe that would spark some positivity in such a
for
negative time.
sure. For sure. It's definitely one of those things where it kind of allows us to look back and say, hey, remember that thing we needed to get done?
Hmm.
Let's make a project out of it. Let's do it. Let's fix that thing around the house.
Right.
I had again, a teenager a little bit earlier today who was like, we're learning how to patch drywall.
That's
This is there's one of those things that they were like, this is, not something normally they would have done, but it just was like, hey, we're doing some stuff around the house. We're kind of forced to do stuff around the house, and we're learning these new skills. I was like, wow, I kind of would like to know myself, like how to patch drywall.
yeah,
Um,
for real.
it's a pretty useful skill, just in case. But but little things like that, and it's taking stock of those, taking inventory of those things that do happen. Again, reflecting, and again, even with the kind of the family dinners or end of the day kind of time, family time, they would look back and kind of say like, hey, remember when you did this, or this is really great when you helped out your sister with the homework, or like you helped dad doing this, or when you did the dishes. I'm really thankful and I really appreciate that, because
Mhm.
that's ultimately what like teens and children really thrive on, and what they really work off of is recognition. And we all do, right?
Right.
When you do work, when I do work, when our spouses kind of do work, and they hear from their bosses or the people who are writing their paychecks in a way. Well, paychecks is one way to kind of get appreciation for your work, right? We don't even think about that like when we're getting paid, we're getting a reward for our work,
Right.
right? But it's also nice when our managers, supervisors, whoever else, people who are above us, say to us like, hey, you're doing a good job.
Yep.
And it's the same thing at home, right? When we tell our kids, or when we hear from vice versa, that like, hey, we're doing a good job, it makes us feel better.
That's great. Yeah. So, what else do you think would be valuable for people to know in this time, and other things that are really important to help
Hmm.
everybody psychologically, right? I mean, like decrease the
Yeah.
stress, increase the calm, that kind of stuff. What else do you want to throw out there for our viewers and our communities?
Yeah, and when I say, I've been having this similar kind of conversation for the most part for the past couple weeks now, with like almost multiple times a day, is that anxiety is not necessarily a bad thing.
Oh,
Anxiety is something that drives us to do something. Anxiety, when we really take a step back and look at it, is a survival mechanism, a survival instinct for us, right? When we are faced with a threat, we're supposed to physiologically kind of do something with it,
fight or
right?
flight.
Fight or flight, that's one thing. Or even, I break it down to even to like a certain, to like a really base level, like breathing itself. Our body needs oxygen, right? It's an anxiety our body has created for us to get oxygen. So the body itself has taken care of it for us by breathing. We do breathing without even thinking about it. It unconsciously happens, right?
Yeah.
Thirst, right? We need water in our body to function. So our body creates this anxiety of thirst, right? So that's what gets us to drink water, right? So this is a little bit different in regards to like, hey, there is this real thing, right?
Hmm.
There is this virus that's out there. It's infecting tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people, whatever it is, and we have to become a little bit anxious in a way to protect ourselves, right? And it is that anxiety which kind of says, all right, there's a threat that's out there, and the way that I know how to protect myself, the way that has been shown over and over to do it, is by withdrawing a little bit, to kind of protect ourselves, to huddle down. And that's the one way we know that which is foolproof, which works, right? So it's not necessarily that like, oh my God, this is an anxiety provoking thing and it's terrible. We have to kind of shift the way that we look about it.
Hmm.
And at the same time, understand that this is not something that is just happening to you. It's not something that's just happening to me. It's a global thing, and it's a shared experience. We're all kind of going through, and it's affecting us in all different ways, whether it's through our physical health, our mental health, financial health, our ability to work, ability to go to school, all these things. It's impacting everybody. So like when I hear, my teens being like, "Oh my God, I don't know what's going to happen to like my grades, and I don't know what colleges are going to like think when they look at that." I'm like, they're going to understand because they know that every single person who applied and had during that period of time is going to have an incomplete or whatever it's going to be during the time where there this thing that happened to everybody that they have to kind of take into account.
Right. That's
And
wonderful.
we just yeah, and I mean the other like even just kind of even for that's for teens, kids, but even for like adults, we look at it like unemployment rates, same thing, right? One of the largest unemployment rates in the country's history. We know this, and it's not just you, right? It's everybody. So many people in this country are having going through the similar struggles, and
Yeah,
people are going to know that, understand that, and be aware of it.
absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Mirza, for spending some
No
time with
problem.
me. Any other concluding remarks you want to give our viewers?
Stay home, wash your hands, that kind of stuff. Be socially distant, all that stuff. And that this is something that's going to pass. The power is in our hands. In our ability to kind of protect ourselves and do the best that we can, so that to really lessen the overall kind of impact and shorten how long this is going to impact us. But we'll get through it. So
Thank you so much. Thanks
no
again.
problem.
Thank you, everyone, for spending a few minutes with us at the Remedy Pharm Health Minute. Big thank you to Dr. Mirza for all the great information he gave us. Please comment below with anything else you would like to hear about, any other topics that you do want covered. Please like, share the video, please follow us, and we'll see you next time.